Imagine this. The lights of the Tonight Appearance flat bonfire bright. The admirers active with apprehension, and Jimmy Fallon's communicable beam lighting up the stage. It's an archetypal night in New York Burgle area. Dreams are fabricated and stars flash brighter than the skyline. But tonight, something's different. The air feels answerable like a storm brewing aloof out of sight. The army doesn't apperceive it yet, but they're about to attest a moment that'll be talked about for years. Saw a affray of titans that no one saw coming. Robert Niro, the allegorical amateur whose name abandoned commands respect, assimilate the stage. His eyes sharp, his attendance heavy, the acclaim is thunderous, but there's a beam in his expression, a binding in his jaw that hints at article alive below the surface. Jimmy, anytime the absorbing host cracks a joke, assured the Niro to comedy along. But tonight, the calligraphy is about to be broken apart. By the end of this night, Niro will storm off the set, abrogation the admirers stunned, Jimmy speechless, and the internet ablaze. How did it all go so wrong? Let's rewind to the moment that all began. And by the end of this story, you'll be on the bend of your seat, atrocious to apperceive what happens next. So, catch up, hit that like button, and subscribe to our approach to dive abysmal into this acclaimed tale. It's a Chris Autumn Black in 2025, and the honoree in Flat 6B at 30 Rockefeller Plaza is electric. The audience, a mix of tourists, diehard fans, and industry insiders, is active with excitement. Robert Niro, the man who brought us Taxi Driver, Raging Bull, and The Godfather Part 2, is tonight's guest, announcement his latest film, a abrasive ball about retired boxer grappling with his past. The blur shadows of the arena has already garnered Oscar buys, and Niro's performance's actuality hailed as acknowledgement to his raw, beastly roots. Jimmy Fallon, with his adolescent agreeableness and quick wit, is the absolute host to draw out. Niro's abundantly aloof personality, or so anybody thinks. Backstage, the producers are buzzing. The aggregation is on aerial active, and the amusing media aggregation is accessible to abduction every viral moment. Niro's team, led by his longtime publicist, Maria, has able him for the accepted backward night fare, a blaze banter, a funny anecdote, maybe a bold of charades. But Maria notices article off as she watches the Niro in the blooming room. He's quieter than usual, his easily active with a bottle of water, his eyes distant. "You okay, Bob?" she asks, her articulation soft but probing. De Niro grunts, a non-committal complete that could beggarly anything. Maria chalks it up to nervesa. Afterwards, like legends get date alarms sometimes. But as the Niro assimilate the stage, the accuracy begins to unravel. The appearance starts calmly enough. Jimmy bliss things off with his monologue, dabbling fun at the latest political gaffes and celebrity scandals. The admirers eats it up, bedlam at his impressions and acclamation for his ball moves. Then it's time for the capital event. Ladies and gentlemen, a muse acceptable the one, the only, Robert Niro. Jimmy announces and the army erupts. Niro strides out dressed in a aciculate charcoal suit, his argent beard slicked back, his face an affectation of air-conditioned confidence. He all overs Jimmy's hand, gives a baby beachcomber to the audience, and settles into the bedfellow chair. The aboriginal few account are arbiter backward night TV. Jimmy asks about shadows of the arena, and Niro in his gruff, chaste way talks about the concrete demands of the role, how he accomplished with absolute boxers to get the movements right. The admirers is captivated, blind on his every word. Jimmy, analysis the crowd's energy, leans in his smile wide. "So, Bob, I got to ask, did you any time anticipate about dispatch into the arena for real? I mean, you are Jake Law Ma." The advertence to Raging Bull gets a laugh, but Niro's smile is tight, about forced. "Nah," he says, his articulation low, acting's abundant of a fight. The admirers chuckles, but there's a slight bend to his accent that Jimmy misses up or chooses to ignore. "Jimmy, anytime the showman pivots to a lighter topic. Okay? Okay, let's allocution about article fun. You're a New Yorker through and through, right? So acquaint me. What's the one affair you accept to do, you're back in the city? It's a softball catechism meant to arm-twist absorbing adventure about pizza joints or Central Park strolls. But Niro's announcement shifts, his eyes absorption slightly. You appetite me to allocution about New York, he says, his articulation, accustomed a weight that wasn't there before. Jimmy nods enthusiastically, absent to the storm brewing. Yeah. Give us the Darrow advisor to NYC. The admirer's laughs assured a archetypal Diener whip, but instead, Darrow leans forward, his easily bound tightly. You apperceive what I do. Aback I'm in New York, Jimmy? I airing the streets and I see what's accident to this city. The greed, the corruption, the way bodies are accepting awkward, out. That's what I see. The admirers goes quiet, the amusement dying in their throats. Jimmy's smile falters, but he recovers quickly, aggravating to beacon the chat aback to safer waters. Whoa. Okay, Bob's accepting absolute tonight, he says, banishment a laugh, but like, what about an acceptable bagel spot? You got one of those? The admirers chuckles nervously, but Niro doesn't booty the bait. Instead, he leans back, his boring piercing. You appetite to allocution bagels aback bodies can't allow to alive actuality anymore? He says, his articulation aciculate now. Acid through the studio's bogus chair, Jimmy blinks, bent off guard. The producers in the ascendancy allowance barter afraid glances. Maria, watching from the wings, feels her abdomen drop. This isn't. The she prepped, the one who'd stick to the script. Something's gotten beneath his skin, and it's about to discharge out. Jimmy, still aggravating to accumulate things light, says, Okay, Bob, I apprehend you, but let's not get too heavy. We're actuality to accept fun, right? He looks to the admirers for support, and they clap, but it's hesitant, uncertain. Droz, jaw tightens, and he all overs his head. Fun, he mutters about to himself. You anticipate everything's a game, don't you? The words adhere in the air, abundant and accusing. Jimmy's smile fades absolutely now, and for the aboriginal time, the admirers senses that this isn't aloof banter. Article absolute is happening. Article raw. The astriction builds as Jimmy tries to axis again, this time to a pre-planned articulation, about Darrow's philanthropy. So, Bob, you've done so abundant for New York with your Blur anniversary and all. Acquaint us about that. It's the atrocious attack to achieve control, but Darrow isn't accepting it. You appetite to allocution about my festival, he says, his articulation rising. You appetite to allocution about Article Rio. Let's allocution about how the city's access into an amphitheater for billionaires while approved bodies are accepting crushed. Let's allocution about how Cypher cares about the accuracy anymore. Aloof clicks and likes. The admirers gasps, some acclamation instinctively, others borderline how to react. Jimmy's eyes bound to the ancillary area, a ambassador is signaling him to cut to commercial. But De Niro's on a cycle now, his articulation booming. You anticipate I'm actuality to comedy your little games, Jimmy? I'm not. I'm actuality because I've got article to say, and I'm annoyed of bodies like you assuming everything's fine. The flat avalanche silent, the weight of his words biconcave in. Jimmy, visibly shaken, tries to beam it off. Okay, Bob, I anticipate we charge to air-conditioned bottomward a bit. Let's booty a break. Yeah, but Niro is already on his anxiety ripping off his mech. I am done, he says, his articulation low but final, and with that he storms off the stage, abrogation Jimmy frozen, the admirers stunned, and the producers scrambling. Backstage, anarchy erupts. Maria chases afterwards Niro, argumentation with him to appear back, but he's already sent her to the exit, his face a affectation of fury. The aggregation is buzzing, the admirers whispering, and amusing media is already lighting up with clips of the moment. The Niro walks off trends oral account, and the internet is divided. Some calling the Niro a hero for speaking truth, others slamming him for actuality unprofessional. Jimmy, still on stage, tries to deliver the show, arise anemic, antic about ambrosial guests for acid to commercial, but the accident is done. The apple is watching, and anybody wants to apperceive what pushed Robert Niro, a man accepted for his aloof professionalism, to lose it on a live TV. As the bartering breach rolls, the admirers sits in abashed silence, processing what they aloof witnessed. Backstage, Maria assuredly catches up to Niro in the hallway. "Bob, what the hell was that?" She demands, her articulation trembling. Niro stops, his amateur slumped, and for the aboriginal time, she sees not anger but affliction in his eyes. "I'm tired, Maria," he says softly, annoyed of assuming it's all okay. And with that, he walks out into the New York night, abrogation anybody to aces up the pieces.